Okay, so our professional education this morning is Should I Stay or Should I Go? Navigating the choice to age in place or sell and move. And this is a collaborative effort with real estate agent, senior real estate, and is Kathleen Reynolds from Remax, as well as Krystal Thistle, an interior designer and drafter with Hummingbird Design Build. And I'll give you their bios real quick before we move through. Kathleen Reynolds is a dedicated realtor specializing in serving the senior market. She holds the Senior Real Estate Specialist designation and Certified Full Service Professional designations from the National Association of Realtors. Her passion lies in helping seniors, their families, and caregivers navigate housing transitions, particularly during times of health-related events that require thoughtful planning and counseling. She brings significant value to her clients through deep understanding of unique challenges that seniors face. Her extensive experience and her network of trusted subject matter experts provide comprehensive solutions to meet the evolving needs of her clients. As a member of RE/MAX, the most recognized and reputable brokerage for residential and commercial real estate, she is part of a huge professional network of full-time realtors. Krystal Thistle has been in the construction business for over 21 years. She has a college education in interior design, drafting, aging in place, and multi-generational living. She is a mom of 18-year-old twins. Oh my. And she has been married to her husband, Kane, for 21 years, who is a licensed contractor in Boise. All right, ladies, appreciate you guys pulling this together, and we're excited to have you. You may begin.
Hi, and thanks for having me this morning. As Karen mentioned, I'm Kathleen Reynolds, and I'm trained to address the unique challenges that seniors and their families face when the time comes. What are we going to do? And I'm going to outline everything, or as much as I can, on the changes that could take place. And my goal is to provide tailored solutions and make the transitions as smooth as possible. So as I was getting ready for this presentation, I came across some fun facts that will give context to, I would say, the magnitude of the senior market. And I wanted to share them with you. Last year, over 4.1 million Americans turned 65. And this is part of the ongoing silver tsunami as the baby boomer generation, born between 1945 and 1964, continues to reach retirement age at a rapid pace. Raise your hand if you're part of the silver tsunami. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of us, and there's going to be more. In 20 years, 1 in 5 people will be a senior. 7 out of 10 people over the age of 65 will require long-term care. And I have where I get these quotes available if anybody wants to know where did you get your information. Or if anyone wants to challenge it, call me. I'd love to talk. By 2050, the number of individuals using paid long-term care services in any setting will be 27 million people. A 75% growth in the share of American elders in need of nursing home care is expected by 2030. Women need care longer, 3.7 years, than men, 2.2 years. 4 in 10 assisted living residents are diagnosed with Alzheimer's or another form of dementia. There are approximately 30,600 assisted living communities with nearly 1.2 million licensed beds in the United States. The average yearly cost of a private room in assisted living facility is $64,000, approximately. What else is interesting? I'm not going to read all these. 64% of retirees are likely to move at least once during retirement. Anyway, it's much more like real estate facts, but I thought those were interesting. And so we're heartfelt about seniors, and we're also in a very, very big business. And my goal is not to only, sell a house. Let me know, I'll sell a house. There's a lot of solutions that are available to people when they start asking questions. And that's what the focus of my chat today is going to be. So throughout our lives, our housing needs change. And we may start in an apartment when we're in college, and then we get married and we need a bigger place, and we have kids, we need a bigger place. And this is called aging in place. And it's not just for seniors or, people that want to stay where they are the rest of their life, because wherever we're living might not suit us forever. So I just kind of wanted to change that concept of what aging in place is to people. I've had people actually tell me, you're going to have to bury me in the backyard. And it's like, fine, I hope you can age in place. And Krystal's going to address some of the things that can be done to help aging in place happen in the home that people live in. And that's part of what I do is I have resources like the people on this call who I can say, you need to call this person, or, I recommend this to get some other options out there. So anyway, I don't know if you all agree with me, but moving is stressful, very, very stressful. So that's coming into play when a senior or a senior couple or family with a senior is considering moving, right? It's one of the most stressful things we can do in our lives, and there's statistics about that. But sometimes a move is necessary. I was going to tell a little story. I had a customer. I mean, this is the stress. I worked with a client whose mother went into memory care, and he lived in another state, but he talked to me, and he needed to sell her house in order to pay for the memory care. I get it. He had to manage clearing out the home while living in another state. The home was occupied by an aunt, so he had to get her out and find a nice place for her to live. The house had been occupied for 55 years, so there's a lot of stuff in it. So, here come our people who do estate sales and junk removal. And to make things more complicated, his sister passed away and a brother passed away in the 6 months that I worked for him. He was just incredibly hard. He was a wonderful guy, but it was difficult for him. And talk about stress, I had to be patient. This is not a fast decision, even when you do decide to sell a house. So with that, I'm going to cover 3 points for seniors considering a move. Okay. 1 is it time to sell? 2 is, how is selling a senior's home different? And 3 is things to consider before selling. Is it the right thing to do? So is it time to sell? There comes a time when selling might be necessary, and I'll give you some examples of that. Has home maintenance become too difficult? Let's say it's a couple's home and one of them passes away and the other one's left with the maintenance of the home. And, because the other person is financially unable to take care of the house or depressed, the house is falling into disrepair. So maybe home maintenance is too difficult for them. Can modifications be made to improve the safety, accessibility? And this is where Krystal's going to mention what she does, talk about what she does. So maybe they can stay there. Financial concerns. Is there a mortgage, taxes, insurance? Are they falling behind? Just because they own a home doesn't mean they're, wealthy, of course, or have a lot of income. Sometimes people are sleeping on their equity, and there's solutions about doing that and recommendations we can make about that. Has a major health or life event occurred? And that affects a lot of you guys. You see this every day with the health or life event. Somebody has to go to rehab, they break something, or they're recovering from something, and it all of a sudden it's hard. All of a sudden the caregiver is having a hard time. A lot of caregivers are family members. And is there a desire to live closer to children or caregivers? That's a very valid point. Maybe people don't want to come to Idaho. Maybe people want to move to where their kids are. It's one of the top reasons people move is to be closer to family members. So that was, is it time to sell? So those are the factors that go into it. Number 2, how is selling a senior's home different? And it involves a lot of unique challenges. And the number 1 challenge that I see is that family involvement is common. Are family members on board with the decision? You can have the siblings and they might not all agree, right? They're all, they're discussing and talking things, and that's part of the process. But it does slow things down and make things a little more complicated, especially if they're not on the same page, right? It's important to know who the decision maker is, who has power of attorney, who you're listening to. I've come across situations where you don't know what you don't know, right? You don't know who you don't know, and it's a good idea to know who all the players are. Oh, there's this, what do they call? There's this maverick brother out in Oregon, but he has major input on this. Well, get to know who those players are, because they can make a big difference in the whole scenario later. So that the family involvement is the biggest thing that I have noticed. I don't interview people at the very first and say, do you have durable power of attorney or conservatorship? But it's good to know about these things and have on hand, an elder law specialist, and some are members of this group. Thank you very much. Who I can recommend. Get an attorney involved. Downsizing possessions can be emotionally difficult. Like I said, this man had been in his parents' had been in the house for 55 years. And what are you going to do with all that stuff? So part of my tool belt is knowing solutions on how to help them downsize. As part of what I do, I always give them a kit of moving boxes and tape, but it seems so small compared to what they have to deal with. So also are names of people who do, like I said, estate sales, clean out, other people who specialize in that, movers. There's people here in this town who do a wonderful job of that and can help them clean it out. And it's emotional. What are you going to do with all these pictures? Put them into storage? What are you going to do? It's another family issue. Something else to think about and how selling a senior's home is different. Well, this is all homes, but what are the tax implications of the sale? Okay, I'm not an accountant. I know accountants and attorneys, but that might be important. And it also comes into play on whether you're going to pay for something else, cash or loan or out of pocket or Medi-Cal. So there's a lot of dynamics in that, whether or not the house should be sold. Or if it's in a trust, a lot of angles like that. So and this is related to that, how will the sale affect future income or benefits? And again, this is where your tax professional will come into play. People don't always have a person like that, but maybe somebody. And I call them trusted advisors. These are people I network with, like in this group and other groups, so that I don't just throw a name out of. Does anybody remember what the yellow pages are? I do. Find someone in the yellow pages. What's that, right? Oh, you millennials. But I don't just pick a name off Google or ever, because one of the characteristics of working with seniors is who do you know? They like to see your face, look you in the eye, listen to you talk, come from a trusted source as a referral. So that's their network. And that's how seniors like to operate. So we all know somebody, and that's the beauty of networking for me. So just again, these transactions take time, and the answer is not always to sell the house. Okay. Number 3, things to consider before deciding to sell. Here's some questions that could matter when considering whether to move or not. And they're not always like shot out at the senior person, but how long do you think you'll be able to enjoy life the way you do today on your own terms? Can you live in this house? I found most people don't want to go to assisted living. They don't want to make that change. It's sort of but the life that they have there can be 100% better than what they're struggling with by trying to stay at home. And it's kind of a hard to convince them. I don't do the convincing. I just, step in when they need to sell the home, but I totally understand that. I have a 94-year-old father in Mississippi. Why is he in Mississippi? He's not from Mississippi. don't ask that story, but it's just like my brother recently tried to put him near him in Michigan, where he could see him every day. But my dad has put himself in a remote area of Mississippi. There's not even an airport within 90 miles of each area of each in any direction. So it's hard for us to go and see him. And one of my sisters has been the caregiver, and she's tired after 4 years of traveling. So she asked us all to commit to spending a month at a time, 3 or 4 times a year, to go to Mississippi to take care of dad, because he's against outside help. And I don't think he's the only one like that, but that's what he wants. And it's been pretty difficult. So it happens. It happens. I understand him wanting to stay in the house. So another question is, what changes do you think you'll be experiencing over the next 10 years? What gets better? What may get harder? What's the possible cost of not being where you want to be in life right now? Talk about quality of life. Somebody cooking meals for you. I know people can come into the house, but anyway, there's all kinds of solutions out there. Life in your 70s and 80s has so much more risk in maintaining your health and well-being. Just, consider that, that's what I'm saying, getting a little worse. But anyway, so the key factors when selling a senior's home can include, can the senior age in place, stay where they are? Are there suitable housing options that meet their needs? What healthcare or support services are available? So it's a comprehensive interview question. And I'm really not there to interview them, but I have all these things in mind when I'm talking to them or to their family. So I feel like I'm a realtor with a heart for seniors, and I want to provide a complete solution for them. I want to get as much money for that family as possible, and that's what the certified full service professional is. I'm good at what I do. And, but it's more than just running around and putting a sign up, and not that that's how people work, but that's not how I work. So as professionals, many of you in this room are maybe the first point of contacts for seniors and their families. So just be aware of what's going on in the background here. Your role in recognizing a move might be necessary. And remember, seniors tend to rely on personal recommendations. I said that a second ago when making decisions. So your referrals carry great weight. In conclusion, thank you so much. You guys are a really valuable group in the Treasure Valley. I love seeing so many people on the call today. I appreciate the opportunity to roll out what I do other than, just what I do. And I'm really happy. I've been a member. How long have I been a member, Dara? 2 years, something like that. But been to the health fairs, and I will be volunteering. But it's an honor to have been here this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathleen. Krystal, do you want to step in? Does
Yeah,
anyone have
thank
any
you
questions?
very much.
All right, I'm going to let Krystal move with hers, and then we'll take questions at the end for both of them. Go ahead.
Excellent. As Karen said, I am a designer, builder, and so I'm going to go over strategies for remaining in your home and aging in place. So I have a
Krystal,
PowerPoint I'm going to present to you.
Perfect. You're going to share, Krystal?
Yeah, I need to share my PowerPoint. Here we go. All right. There we go. Okay. How are we looking?
Good.
Okay.
You're good. There we go.
Perfect.
Okay. Excellent. So some of these strategies that I'm going to present today are very simple. But I wanted to first cover the benefits of aging in place, proximity to family and people they know, familiarity to the surroundings around them, greater independence, a larger living space typically, a pace of life that they have control of. They're not in a system that has regimented hours of everything going on, so they can have a little bit more independence. Increased nutritional value, which was very interesting. The nutrition benefits of being at home are actually beneficial to the senior. Financial benefits. There are some financial benefits for staying in your home, and 90% of seniors polled preferred to remain in their home if they can. So that was kind of interesting to me. Also, 80% of seniors who have had to leave their home have had to leave for only 2 rooms, their kitchen and their bathroom. So if you're going to age in place, your kitchen and your bathroom are going to be the biggest inhibitors of being able to stay there. So here's some basic strategies in order to stay in your home. Simple things like changing the doorknobs to levers where you can easily push them down to get in and out of rooms. Enlarge doorways in strategic areas such as a master bathroom, a master bedroom, just enlarging. If you have an opening into the kitchen, enlarging that so that it can be accessible with a wheelchair or a walker. Change out appliances. Now, this was really interesting, to ones that are more ergonomic. And I'm going to go into that a little deeper further on in. Changing faucets so that they're motion activated, so the senior doesn't have to move a lever. They can just wave their hand in front of it and it comes on. Hard surface flooring. This is really good. Because then they can use their walker, their wheelchair, and they can easily get around without hitting transitions, or also carpeting, which is harder to move a wheeled device on. And then my favorite one is a zero clearance shower, a true zero clearance shower, which I'm going to show you an example of that I did recently. So those are some basic strategies. Moving forward, I'm going into this master bathroom here, and this is a bathroom I actually did. And you can see that I've done a zero clearance shower. It has a really cool bench seat. This is actually a piece I designed specifically for this client, where they can sit in the shower or outside the shower to dry themselves off. Grab bars in strategic areas so that they can, in fact, stand and sit and be able to get up and down on their own safely. Cabinetry that can be accessed from a seated position. Shower wand so they can sit and shower themselves if necessary. In this particular application, we used faucets that are one-handled that can easily be pushed with a hand, so they can easily turn on their water. And then I also recommend an undermount sink, not a vessel sink, because vessel sinks are up higher, and if you're in a seated position, they would be harder to access. In a small bathroom, this is a small bathroom I did, it's very, very small. And you can see it's got a zero clearance shower. It has a small bench, but I don't know who's gonna be able to sit on that bench. So I'm thinking maybe it's more for, like, I don't know, putting things on. We have strategic bars in places so that the clients can easily get up and down from the toilet. It's a zero clearance shower. Motion activated switches into the bathroom are another really key factor, so that they just come right on when you enter. Also, in this one, I used a barn door for the shower. And what is the benefit of that? Well, the senior does not have to navigate the swing of the shower door if they're in with a walker or a wheelchair. So this bathroom really is very functional for the senior. I'm moving on into kitchen cabinetry. So a really difficult thing for seniors is their shoulders. Their rotator cuffs typically become less functional. So as we age, a great thing to do is in your kitchens, change all your lower cabinets either from doors to drawers or in this example, I have shown an example of where they have the doors for the lowers, but we've put full extension cabinetry so they can easily pull those out, see what they have in there, and push them back in. And this can be done from a seated position. So again, this is a great way easily for seniors to adapt their house so that they can remain there. And typically the cabinetry I use can have 50 pounds worth of weight in the drawers themselves. So they can handle quite a lot of heavy stuff. And this eliminates the senior from having to lift over their head, which is great. So kitchen appliances, this is a really interesting topic. So for example, in this picture, I have a wall oven and now it has an outswing door versus a door that folds down. The benefits of this is that the senior can roll up in a walker and or a wheelchair and be able to access that oven. And you can put that oven at a more ideal height so that the senior isn't having to lift over their head or bend down too far. A pull-out washer. They have really great pull-out washers now. Again, can be accessed from a seated position and positioned at a more ergonomic height. Cooktops. I love cooktops because it allows for you to have drawers underneath there where you can store your pots and your pans for easy access and for a seated position as well. You can also put your microwave close to your cooktop as well if that's something you want to do. And so that's an example of placing your appliances in a more ergonomic situation for access. And then, of course, in kitchens, you can do a nice motion activated faucet, so for cleaning purposes, and they're very handy to have. Moving forward, we're going to go into general home strategies. So enlarged door openings, I talked about that. Doorknobs to door levers, talked about that as well. Improve lighting, recessed can lighting, and motion lighting. So there's really expensive and inexpensive ways to do this. So an inexpensive way, maybe just putting some square, slim motion light sensors, like night lights basically, that can can come right on when the senior comes in the bathroom. So that helps them kind of get orientated to the bathroom. There's also LED flush mount ceiling lighting that is motion censored. And so when somebody walks in the room, the light comes on. Again, helps the senior maybe at night when they're going to the bathroom or walking to the kitchen, lights will come on. Another important thing is timers. We leave our fans in our bathroom on a lot. So if your senior has a hard time, turning things off, putting a timer switch in is a very simple, easy fix, $24 in this particular example. Again, there's also a motion activated sensor switch, $23. Put that in a few strategic areas and that senior will have light that comes on automatically and they're not hunting for the switch, which could cause a fall. Another example is that I have two examples of an LVP flooring. These are great floorings. And they come in like tile examples or a wood example here. And creating a solid surface flooring throughout your entire house is really helpful because then you don't have the transition strips or transition pieces for that matter that will cause the walker or wheelchair, or if they shuffle, could cause a tripping hazard. This would eliminate that as well. We're just trying to eliminate a lot of hazards for the senior, make living easy. What's also very interesting, and I'll go quickly with this is an example of a client I had, and they wanted to remain in their house, but their yard was really difficult for them to maintain, and we forget about this sometimes. And so this is an example of a client who had a 20% slope on their front yard and couldn't mow their lawn. They were aging. And so I came up with a new front yard example for them where I raised it up, made it flat, and now they actually can use their front yard. It has a patio, has lots of lighting, and now their yard is sustainable for them. So that is another really simple example. It was a little pricey, but it definitely changed it up for them so that they could stay in their house and maintain it. Another couple options that are a little more costly is an ADU unit, additional dwelling unit. And this is where you could convert your garage or an outbuilding, or, build a whole new building and make it into a caregiver's place, or the senior can move from the main house to the outbuilding. And of course, we would initiate all the strategies that I talked about, and they can live in there, and somebody could be living in the main house. They could rent the main house out. So now we have some passive income to cover maybe that ADU unit conversion or building. And right now, the city of Boise is really encouraging doing a lot of this ADU type activity because they won't need density. They need more places for people to go. And as Kathleen mentioned, we're going to have a tsunami of aging people, and we don't really necessarily have enough beds right now. So this is a great option if your senior can do this, to do something like this, and their family could live in the front house while they live in the additional unit. And currently, I would say you can start out at $100,000 and move up to convert something at this point. And that's just an approximation from what I've seen from some of the jobs I've done. So another way to go is additions or multi-generational designs. And this is where the house is got an addition or designed so that there are two masters that share the kitchen. And then that way a caregiver can live on one side, the senior can live in the other, or family member, or however that may work. And they share the house essentially, and they share the kitchen, and they're all on site together. This is a great way to go because you can increase property value. Family members can reside with you if necessary and can oversee your care. This can start out low in 100,000 and climb from there depending on finishes and where you live and how difficult that build out would be. So here's kind of a breakdown roughly of financial. Idaho's monthly assisted living residences go from anywhere about $3,700 a month to $4,100 a month, which is $50,000 a year approximately. And usually the duration that somebody is staying in one of these facilities is 22 months. And this came from Ford's. Home health care cost in Boise is about $5,720 per month, totaling $68,000 a year. So you see it's slightly more expensive. However, what I would add is that if you do these upgrades to your house becomes more valuable in the marketplace. Also, addition, there's equity that is building because of these changes that you have made. So all of those things can mitigate the cost there. And also, if you're providing housing to your caregiver, that makes you more valuable to the caregiver, and you can attract more caregivers or better quality of caregivers to your residents. So that's also a benefit to this. And you can gain passive income because you could rent out a portion or the main house and you live in the secondary. So there is some passive income that can come from this. So roughly the construction costs. So to drop a shower pan to make a zero clearance shower is about $500 in framing costs. So it's really not very expensive. And then if you choose different finishes, it can be relatively inexpensive. Currently, I am doing a home for a couple who want to age in place. And the house is 1,457 square feet. It's a single story. And I implemented pretty much every single one of these strategies that we have talking about. And that cost came in at $150,000 to do those renovations. Again, I mentioned house will appreciate due to doing these renovations. In normal markets, on average, you can recoup renovation costs between a 5 and 10 year period. And I'm 54 years old and I'm already doing these augmentations to my house, although it's a 2-story house, so I don't know how much, how long I can stay, but I'm going to try my best. And the great thing about starting now is that you can have this paid off before you're on a fixed income typically. So then you can just kind of ride out these changes into the sunset and you get to stay at your house. So I want to thank you for your time and listening to me, and I would entertain questions if you have anything.
There is a question, Krystal. This is from Garth. Do motion activator faucets have battery backup to work during power outages? That's a great
Excellent question. Yes, you can do it 2 ways. You can either have it be ran off of batteries, or you can have it hardwired in. So yes, you can do either way.
I have a question with expanding or enlarging the doorways or hallways. Isn't that pretty expansive as well as expensive to make those? Or do you find there's mitigation where you don't have to go as far? Or like how much of an undertaking in that kind of a project is that if the senior has an older home that doesn't provide for that?
Excellent question. So my clients that I'm working with now, their house was built I think in 71. And so they have very narrow hallways, and one of their doorways was literally a 2'4" opening, like super narrow. And so we stole a little space from the cabinet that was next to it, the hallway cabinet, and we were able to give them a full-size opening. And I mean, I think that you could probably do that realistically for anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 for that. And then what we did in their house, again, it was 77. We lucked out the trusses in the house, went from end to end, and we took out every single wall in their house except for one. And so now they have an open concept living and kitchen and their bathroom as well. So sometimes when you get in there and you look, you might find out you don't need beams or supports like you thought.
Wow.